these people are insane. And people were like piling in the door. We had to send people away all the time because we couldn't fit them in the shop.
What this week's guest has been through is nothing short of a movie script. She has taken over and transformed a multi-million-dollar business.
Multi-million-dollar business that we're running here.
She has birthed and raised little children.
I'm gonna make time to be a mother, get my kids to school, and then I'm gonna go to work.
She's been through a divorce, and that is just the beginning.
Let's summarize it, right? Divorced, having met somebody new that was a former police officer, convicted of the most heinous crime you could ever imagine, who went to jail, and we lived together. I'm like, what else would you like?
She's here today, not just to share her incredible story, but to share the many lessons and transformations she's had to overcome along the way.
The diamond shop was on the map. I'd never run a business. I have never been more broken in my whole life. I wasn't eating. I was living in this house that was my dream home with what I thought was my dream family in my dream scenario with a dream business. And suddenly, what the fuck am I doing?
Welcome to the Powerhouse Diaries, the podcast for and by brave, bold, and badass business owners. If you're an entrepreneur who has outgrown those cookie cutter business strategies and #girl boss cliches, you're in the right place. Because let's face it, entrepreneurship is at least equal parts messy buns and runny mascara as it is the highlight reel we see online. So let's get real about what it really takes to build and run a quote-unquote successful business, blood, sweat, and margaritas included. I'm your host, Yaela, your rebellious entrepreneurial fairy godmother, and join me as I sit down with rockstar female founders for the most juicy, deep, and meaningfuls around success, life, and everything in between. Now it's time for you to step into your powerhouse era. Sera, we are here. We made it. I am so excited to have you here on the Powerhouse Diaries.
Very excited to be here.
Man, when I first was introduced to you and we were on the phone and you were just giving me like the highlights of your story. Dude, if there was a like Olympics for just resilience, the school of hard knocks, like you'd be gold medalist. And that sounds awesome, but it must have been a crazy ride. And you, I think, are the example of resilience, strength, but also really softening despite everything that's going on. So I would really, let's just start there with the elephant in the room. Let's start with the craziness that is, you know, the script of your life.
I'm like, which part? Which part would you like first? I mean, yeah, it's been a ride, obviously always very privileged as well, because there's always people far worse. But talk about, you know, just the last, let's say 5.5, 6 years. It's been a ride.
It's crazy because you have two children.
Yeah. So I have a daughter, she's 6, and a son, he's 3.
Amazing. So that's also all in the mix of those
all
last.
in the mix. It's all in the mix.
Well, take it away.
So I suppose starting with the diamond shop, that was 2019 that I walked in there. And I suppose without giving you the full background, I walked into a role to do some social media stuff for Win, who was the founder and owner of the diamond shop then. And we just got along like a house on fire. And he was like, this girl's obsessed with jewelry. And I was truly obsessed. It wasn't like that standard love sparkly things. I was obsessed. Mika was about 2 months old, I think. So I was running my own social media agency, had a little baby, was kind of doing this diamond stuff on the side.
Just doing some diamonds on the side.
Just casual diamonds on the side, as you do. And Wynn phoned me one day and he said, look, my general manager's leaving. She's going on a massive overseas trip. Do you know anyone that might like the job? And I'm like driving down the motorway thinking, I'll have a think about it, Wynn, and I'll call you back. And he's going, Sera,
get there faster.
Smartest woman I know, but you're also so dumb. He's like, I'm talking about you. He's like, do you want to do it? And I was like, well, hang on a minute, your brain's going 500 miles an hour, because I'm like, I've got my own business, I've got my child, like,
they've got a baby.
What does that mean? Like, it means she has to go to daycare, and it's like my dream job, and I'm going, I've got no experience. It was just like a million different things, but I took the leap, obviously, like standard Sera move on the phone. I was just like, blah, 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 blah. Yes, I guess so. I'll do it. I'll figure out how I'm going to do it, but I'll do it. And that's kind of where I suppose my story really starts. So yeah, walking into the diamond shop in 2019, it changed my life.
Yeah.
A real pinnacle moment for me, that at the time you just don't even realize.
You don't realize, and it's like it sets something in motion, and you can't even comprehend.
I know.
And then looking back, hindsight's a beautiful thing. You look back, you're like, oh,
you're like, wow,
that's it. That's what.
That was the moment. Yeah.
And your daughter was only a few months old as well, because I remember. So when I started my agency, I think it was my daughter, one of my kids, was also just born. And I remember just perfecting the art of pushing the stroller with my foot whilst trying to type emails and, not run out of meetings because I was like leaking.
Yeah,
it is
literally
crazy.
Yeah, it was a ride, and little did I know it was just going to be this
that was just
roller coaster.
Warming up.
That wasn't even the warm up. That was just like, girl, you ain't seen nothing yet. And following that, it was sort of COVID hit. It was like that time where like that was really uncertain. And I'll never forget when, who was the founder, he took me aside early 2020, I think it was.
So that's right at the beginning of COVID.
Yeah, and it was only a few months into my role there, kind of thing. And he said, look, the business isn't going to survive this. I'm going to liquidate the diamond shop, because he was in his late 70s at the time. And he was like, well, what, no one knows what's going to happen here. Like, if I can't open my doors, I can't operate. So what's the point?
Yeah, and also different generation, different way of thinking about it.
There was no online business, no online sales at that point. It was all walk-in, mostly historic as well, because the business is 31 years old now. So yeah, that was the conversation I had with him, and I just kind of thought, wow, like that's a real damper. Like, this is my dream role. I'm only just getting started. But I said, let me take some of the jewelry home, and while I'm at home, I'll try and sell it on Instagram. And he was just kind of like, well, yeah, okay, whatever, We didn't really think too hard about it. But now that I look back, I had like over $1 million of stock.
I was literally just thinking that. I'm like,
literally on my dining table.
Did you just have that in your like purse walking to your car?
Pretty much.
Oh my God.
Pretty much. I unstacked the safe. I hope my insurance company aren't listening.
You made this up. This is purely for entertainment purposes, guys.
It's a lie. I took it all home on my dining table. I think Mika was like barely toddling around at that point.
She's like, what's this?
Yeah, literally. Like, I remember the hands going up on the table, and I'm going, no, stay away, stay away from it. And I just started putting the jewelry on my Instagram stories. Just started showing it, and basically, in a nutshell, we started doing like 140 grand a day.
Oh my God.
It was wild.
That's insane. But the speed with which all of this happened, because then you start putting it online and then it's out there. So now you have to actually build the infrastructure behind it.
Yeah, well, that was it. I was like building on the fly,
Yeah.
And I'm kind of one of those people that I will often hold back, because I'm a bit of a perfectionist until it's all perfect. But this one time was just like, this is rolling. Like, we're doing this. Like,
you can't stop the train.
You can't stop it. And people were in my Instagram every day going, we're waiting to see what you upload today. Like, we can't wait. People just buying jewelry like that. Mad. Like, I'm just a girl on Instagram, and they're transferring money into this bank account that belongs to the diamond shop with like no real sort
like
of
online shop.
Yeah, like nothing. They were just transferring like wild amounts of money.
But that just goes to show that we often, I think, as female founders, can get stuck in this perfectionism of the website needs to be perfect. I need the best landing page. I need professional photos. I need this and that. But when the offer is right, and also when the energy behind it is right,
you just got to run with it.
Yeah, you run, and that is felt, because this is early 2020, so it's not that online shopping wasn't a thing. So for people to actually just do business that way requires an amazing amount of trust, which is only possible with the personal brand you've built.
I suppose that does help, right? Because at the time I'm thinking, man, these people are insane.
Yeah.
Luckily I am real, but what if you weren't? But it just, honestly, it just spiraled faster than you can even comprehend. And when we could open our doors again, it just took us into a whole nother realm of business. Suddenly, like, the diamond shop was on the map. And people were like, I'm not even joking, piling in the door. Like, we had to send people away all the time because we couldn't fit them in the shop.
It's unbelievable because it's also not like a carton of milk.
No.
How often do you go, guys,
Jewelry
I'm just
shopping.
going out, I'm going diamond shopping.
Yeah.
Again? Yes, again.
Yeah. Well, I think there was multiple factors too, because obviously jewelry became a really big trend. People started investing in jewelry and it became a thing. Then there was the influx of lab-grown diamonds. So we were the first adopters in a big way in New Zealand. So that was the other thing that really got people flocking.
That is also, like, I'd love to just really briefly go into that as well, because lab-grown diamonds, tell us more about that, because in this world where people become more and more aware, it's so important to look at alternatives in an industry that is traditionally has problematic aspects to it, to say the least.
Yeah, it does. And I'm going to say it right now, there's so much to lab-grown diamonds that we don't know. There's a lot of arguments there about how they're formed, with the power that they use and that sort of thing. So it's not a perfect solution. But what lab-grown diamonds offer is a diamond, because that's what they are. That's them in a nutshell. If you want to compare sort of IVF, in the IVF world, we take the sperm and the egg and we put it together in the lab and it goes back into the mother. It's kind of the same thing. So we take a seed or a tiny, tiny piece of a diamond and it goes into either HPHT, which is high pressure, high temperature, or CVD, which is chemical vapor deposition. So there's two methods of growing a diamond. Both have their pros and cons. Ultimately, it gives the consumer the ability to buy what they want. And at the end of the day, when you look down at your diamond ring, if it's an engagement ring, you want that feeling of like, I got my dream ring.
This is exactly what I want.
Yeah, it's exactly what I want, and it didn't cost me $500,000, and that's the beauty of them. They've given people so much option, so many choices, really high quality stones. So cool. It's opened up a whole world and it's changed the game.
Yeah, and I feel like that's a bit of a trend, like even in the short conversation we've been having with the selling online, with the lab-grown diamonds. I feel like you are somehow just kind of at the cusp or just right in front of the trends and working with a original founder who comes from a different era, different way of doing business. How did that go? The pivots constantly.
Amazing. Like, this is the thing, I salute the women that have built their businesses from the ground and hustled, because I was the lucky one that I landed in something where the groundwork was done. The brand was built and I had somebody to work with that was highly experienced. He'd been through the waves. Had so much knowledge, and together it was like I brought the new, he brought the old, and we mashed it up, and
then you become unstoppable.
Yeah, it was incredible. And even now to this day, he obviously is no longer part of the business in that sense, but he's basically a dad figure to me, and someone that I still speak to. And, if I've got a problem, he's the first person I'm going to ring.
Amazing.
So it wasn't even just the business journey. I found someone that I will love for the rest of my life on a whole nother level. It's so cool. I know.
Yeah, it's beautiful. But I mean, that also, it is so important because it shows that business is about so much more than whatever it is you do, whatever it is you're passionate about. In the end, it's about the people and the relationships and who we become through those relationships. Yeah. And this was still quite early on. You just jumped in, you've taken on this role. Are we warmed up yet? Where are we?
Where are we? That's right. So I'd never run a business like this before. Like I'd done startups. I had a bit of a business brain, but I'd never run a business. This was like a fully functioning business, and I'm going, well.
This is no more playing boss babe. No, this is like, oh wait, this is a full
multi-million-dollar business that we're running here. So it was a real, like, just one of those moments where you just do it and you just figure it out as you go.
Oh yes, jump out of the plane and build the parachute on the way down.
Literally.
My mode of operating always.
Build a bridge out of your spine. I think that's what I said to you the other day. You've just got to do it.
You just have to. I mean, and that is true in business. It's also true for, if you've had a tumultuous life, to be, subtle with it. People are always like, oh, how are you so strong, or how are you so resilient? And you just have to keep going. And the same is true when you say yes to this business.
Yeah, just do it.
Whilst, by the way, still raising like little kids or little kid at the time. The train is running, and you just, quitting is not an option. What are you going to do? Open the doors?
That's what I always said. It was like, do I run this forward or do I run backwards? And if anyone knows me and my personality, you know damn well I'm going forward.
Yeah.
And that's all you can do. You just kind of got to keep letting it run past you, because you're like, I'm going that way.
Yeah.
You're not getting in my way.
And that is easier said than done.
It is. Yeah, it is. And there's definitely times where it's really, really challenging, but you learn so much on the go, and you really do become better and better and better every single time, even though you feel like you break a little bit.
Yes, but the biggest breakthroughs come always after the breakdowns. I think one of the most like potent quotes I heard recently, and I've just been using it everywhere, is every experience, but especially like the ones that are quite jarring, that are difficult, has the potential to be a gate, to be a portal to a completely different reality, to a completely different timeline. You just have to be intentional whether you choose or not choose, have a knee-jerk reaction and go respond your old way, or if something happens, you're choosing to see it as a lesson, as an opportunity, as a blessing. And if you look at it that way, there always is one to be found.
100%.
Eventually.
100%.
Not always in the moment.
Way out. Yeah, at the time you think, it can't get any worse, but there is. There's always a little cherry. Just keeps on rolling. I guess that was the start and mid of 2020, and it was a really interesting ride. So when we reopened our doors, we were with this whole new brand. Yeah. And with that, I was like, I need to rebrand. We had like this like purplish blue color as our boxes and our bags, and I'm going, no, this isn't me. This isn't the diamond shop. And bless Win, he just let me roll with it. He just was
That's
like,
also
look, girl,
really impressive, because as someone who has sold her business to an amazing woman who once was my first trainee, it takes a lot as someone who has sold a business to someone who was my first ever employee, started as a trainee, kind of grew up with me. She's amazing. She's wonderful. The business is still running. She's taken it her own way and doing an amazing job at it. And I found it incredibly difficult to watch. Yeah. Because it's like giving your child to someone else who raises them differently, treats them differently, not better, not worse, just different. But it's your child. So you're looking at it and you're like,
what's going on here?
Yeah.
I know.
So impressive that he had that ability to really let you run with it.
Trust the process.
Yeah. And also for you to really trust your own intuition with what was right for the business and what was you. Because it's very easy to kind of, lean back on, well, this has been working, so what do I know?
Keep going. That's the thing, right? It was a 20-odd-year-old brand at the time, but honestly, he supported me in that. He was like,
Fantastic.
"Girl, you know what you're doing? Do it." He's like, "Just do it. Just do you." And I was like, "Okay." So he just fully supported me into that, and it was amazing.
And you can borrow some of that trust and that belief sometimes, you know, in those moments where you're like, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing.
Yeah.
I don't have the answers. If someone like that who you respect has that belief and trust in you, you can borrow little pieces of it and kind of like, okay, maybe I can.
Oh, he definitely learned how to fuel me. Like
Yes.
a few things. I think it's a Libra thing, but I'm so competitive. So competitive. And I said to him once, when he said to me, "Oh, you know, it would be amazing to get the business performing like it used to when he was back on Queen Street like years ago." And I said, "Right, what was your top figure?" And he told me, and I was like, I'm gonna beat it." And he laughed. He laughed. He was like, "Oh, you know, don't set yourself up to fail. Like, I know what you're like. You don't like failure, blah, blah, blah." Well, what did I do?
Of course. Well, and that tenacity turned out to be very needed in the years that followed.
So needed. So 2020, absolute ride. And then the end of 2020, I decided I wanted another baby, right? So it was like, that was always my plan. I had my daughter. I always wanted more. She was, what, two and a half-ish.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, you know, it's now or never, right? Like, there's never going to be a
What,
great time
I've got
for
nothing
this.
on with this, you know, multi-million-dollar
I'm
business
so
and
free.
a toddler. What? Yes.
What more can we add? So we started trying for a baby. And that comes with its own roller coaster, right?
Oh,
like,
God.
I mean, bless the people that have it really easy, and there's also people that have it really, really awful. I was somewhere kind of in the middle, where it's a ride, and you're trying for a baby, and it consumes you, and you think about it all the time, and you pee on a stick in the morning, and you go to work like, yes, I'm pregnant, but I can't tell anyone, and I'm so excited, and all those emotions to like, you know, sometimes going to the bathroom and realizing that you're bleeding.
Yeah.
And you've got a client in 10 minutes, and you've got to go out there, and you've got to put on a show. You've got to show up. And meanwhile, inside you're literally dying, and you just want to cry. And you can't, because you just can't, because there's people, and you're booked for the whole day, and you've got staff, and you've got a business to run, and no one cares.
No one cares. I mean, I don't know if that's true, if no one cares, but you can't, I think also for your own sanity, allow yourself to have that full spectrum of emotions. Teeny side note, but your story, when you're just saying that, it just reminds me that of in between my two children, I had a miscarriage. Yeah. And I was still working in the hotel industry, and I was in London on a conference with all these middle-aged men in gray suits. And I woke up, and you know, the hotel bedding is so pristine and white. And I woke up, and it was very dramatic because, you know, the crispy white sheets, blood. And all I wanted was to just fly home, go be with my then husband and my son, because I had a 2-year-old at home. And so I changed my flight, and I walked down to the conference, and I went up to the presenter, and I just kind of in his ears like, "Hey, sorry, family emergency, I need to go." And this man decided to make an example out of me of how this young generation and specifically like about women, how entitled we were, and just thought we could just work part-time, and when it doesn't suit. And he did this like publicly. I think there was like 60 directors of sales and marketing in that room, and 90% were men. And he was trying to just make a point. And I just let him do it. And I stood there and I'm like, yeah, like, don't start crying. And he kind of ended his rant. I was like, what could possibly be so important? And I was like, actually, I just woke up, and I gave him the story, and it was such a good moment of like him wanting to disappear into the ground. And I think whether it's, you know, fertility, or any other issues that are going on in your personal life, there's not always the space to process it.
Totally.
But you can't. But also you need to create that at some point.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah.
You do. And I think that's the thing, like for me, as a business owner, obviously all my staff are female, apart from those in the workshop. And we have those things go on. And my door is always open. And to me, that stuff is far more important.
Yeah.
And we love our clients, obviously. But if one of my staff is going through something like that, I'm going to step in and do it for them and send them home.
And give them space.
And I think that those are the things that you have to actually learn because you've been there.
True.
And being a woman, right? Men, some of them understand, not all of them. And that's something I do pride myself on, is that I know and I can support the women that are around me. They are younger. They are at those ages where they're going to start going through those things. And it is more important to look after yourself.
Yeah.
But as an entrepreneur, you're often just thrust into that, like, keep going,
So how do you balance that? Because if there's not always space and time to feel and process, and then you come home and there's at that point one toddler, later 2 little kids, and whatever else in your life needs attention, where's the space for you?
It's a good question. It's a good question. And I think that you find your outlets, right? And something that I've realized in the last year specifically is how important your partner is, how important that person is that you go home to every single night, because it's kind of their place to hold that safe space. And I never really realized how important it was to go home and download. I've always been very like, keep it in, suck it up, don't say anything, you'll be fine.
Yeah. Or share on the other side of it.
Yeah.
Of like, oh, actually,
I went through that.
Look what I went through. Look, I'm out on the other side. But actually to be in your mess and reach out takes such courage. But you've got to do it, because I feel like you can also offload, know you're safe, you've got it out, you've had your moments, then you go back out here into the war zone and you fight, and then you come back again, and then you can download again. And I just think that that's so important, and it's something that I've had to learn on the fly. It really is. And I think it's important that doesn't have to necessarily be a partner. If someone's listening and is like, oh, I'm single, I'm holding it all by myself. And this can be a friend, this can be a family member, it can be fucking ChatGPT. It can
or
be
someone else in business. Like find yourself like a mentor.
Someone in our community. Like it's so important. I lone wolfed life and business. And it's funny, the space you free up when you're not trying to hold it all together all the time and have all the answers.
Yeah.
But what happens when that support system changes?
Yeah. Wow. Tell me about that.
I don't know.
Do I have the story for you?
Dum, dum, dum. I just set her up.
Yeah. Just let it go. And that's the thing. It does. And you think that you've got this kind of picture perfect life and you think it's all good. I'm one of those terrible people, like I just said, that I will completely mask how I'm feeling. I put my walls up and I accept my situation and I just go with it, because I've always had that mentality like, well, it's not actually that bad. There's so much worse. So put your wall up, suck it up, keep going. And that's what I did until
it's very effective until it's not.
Until you realize that actually you are the thing that you're building, right? And you are what matters.
Can we just say that again? Just stop for a second.
You are the thing that you're building.
Yes, you are the fucking masterpiece. The business, the relationship, everything is just an expression of that. Yeah. And that is something so many women struggle with, because we're taught to put ourselves last. Yeah. We're taught to not take care of ourselves. Yeah. We're taught to not have uncomfortable emotions or emotions overall, because that's unpleasant. So that realization, you are the thing that you are building.
You are. And with that, you can do whatever you want.
I know. It's
That's
exciting.
the scary part, right?
And terrifying.
Yeah, it is terrifying, but it's true.
Yeah.
And that's what I truly believe we're all doing every day. You know, we're building ourselves. Every experience we have, it's building us. Yes. And at the time you go, oh my God, what the hell? And I'm doing that at the moment. If anyone had a camera on me on my daily life, they'd be going, what is going on?
Oh, yes. My God, like we started, you walked in the door today. I was like, life has been lifing this morning. And I'm like, and you pull it together, you do your things. But also what I've learned throughout the years, first of, you know, just playing tough girl and not even creating space to process or feel it at any point because I was terrified of my own. Yeah. Because I was like, if I let go.
Yeah, might not get back up.
I won't be able to get back up. So I just like pushed through life. And then at one point, of course, you know, life says,
gonna break you. Yeah.
You're done.
Yeah.
And you fall flat on your face. And it's just such it's an amazing opportunity when you get to view it as the masterpiece you're building. I heard the other day, we are not a victim of our circumstances. We're a victim of our perspective.
Exactly.
And when we look at our circumstances, no matter how quote unquote good or bad they are, and we change the perspective of, hey, why is this happening for me? Now, I'm not talking about spiritual bypassing and just like putting silver linings on everything. I was really good at that for many years as well. But I am talking about intentionally choosing, do I want to just experience this shit and it just be shit? Or do I want to turn it into something?
Exactly. Yeah. And I do feel like the last year of my life has been that, you know, where I've been divorced. Let's summarize it, right? If you told me a year ago today that I would be sitting here divorced, having gone through all of that, having met somebody new that was a former police officer, convicted of the most heinous crime you could ever imagine, who went to jail and is on electronic monitoring. And we live together.
Next week on The Bold and the Beautiful.
I'm like, what else would you like? And like literally in the last year, that is my life.
Oh,
that is my life. But then there's also the element of I'm a business owner. I'm in the spotlight. Yes. The media's written about it globally. You know, it's like I've had friends being like, what the heck are you doing? Like, not so much on the divorce front because I feel like people know what's good for you and what's not working. And that wasn't working for both of us, in my opinion. But the new romance was like, okay, Sarah, like I literally had people being like, shouldn't you be dating like some wealthy businessman, you know, like what?
Shouldn't you be shutting up? Like what, since when is that?
What's going on here? Like this guy's been to jail. And I'm like, oh, trust me, I know, because
I know.
I know.
I'm aware.
And I would just never have, you know, even in those moments of like us first starting to see each other, I'm like looking at this guy's ankle bracelet going, he's got an ankle bracelet on, Sarah.
I know.
What is going on?
But how do you trust your intuition, your inner knowing, your higher self, whatever it may be, when everything is kind of stacked against you? You know, everyone is saying,
what the hell?
What the hell are you doing?
Guy went to jail. You don't go to jail unless you did it.
Yeah, exactly. Bad guy.
Yeah, must have gone to
safety,
jail,
young kids. It's only a short. I mean, it's not hard to create a case against it rationally.
Yeah.
Which means that your emotional intelligence and the trust of your own intuition must have been.
That's probably my strongest thing. And that's something that I always say to people is that the one thing you should invest in your life is trusting yourself and your intuition. And that's something I'm so strongly connected to and always have been. And, you know, I'm also a big believer of the fact that, you know, a story is not always as it seems. You know, as a media, it's not always what it seems. There's always more to something.
Yeah.
And I think that's how I was raised, was like, don't judge a book by its cover, make your own mind up. And I suppose that's what I did. So when Jamie and I first started speaking, we sort of developed a friendship. And one of the first conversations that we had was him being like, do you know who I am? And I'm going,
nope.
Like,
not yet.
Should I know who you are?
Not yet. That's why we're talking.
Had no idea. And bless him, he dove straight into it, because I suppose from his perspective, like,
oh, and so
what
important, because you don't drop this, you know, you're a couple of months in.
Yeah,
oh, by the way.
Well, he's like, she's probably going to see my ankle bracelet too. Which at the time, I even sitting here now, I just can't. I still look at it and I'm just like, what is going on? What is going on?
It's surreal.
It is surreal, and it still is even now. But, you know, him telling me like his story, and it was, I mean, imagine being a man telling a woman like me I'm pretty strong. I'm pretty like, you know, I'm going to tell you what I think.
Yeah.
And I certainly don't agree with what he was put away for. So I'm reading this going, wow, like, you poor guy, like having to be like, this is my reality.
Yeah.
Straight away. Whereas most people are like bringing out their best front, you know, they're being the best person they can be. He's like, well, actually, this is my real.
Yeah. And I could argue that is the best person you can be.
Totally.
Right? Just
totally.
you.
That's what I was about to say. I think that, you know, throughout my journey and my life, you learn, like, if somebody has the balls to be like, this is my reality.
Yeah.
You kind of have to respect that. So I think from that moment, I thought, well, my gut instinct here is that there's more to this. And I want to be a friend. I want to know more. I want to hear about it. You know, I'm very pro men as I am pro woman too. There's a lot of men out there that have stories.
Absolutely.
And I couldn't fault him. He's like, this is my story. This is my reality. My life is completely broken. You know, let's hang out.
But here you are. Like, I have so much respect, first of all, for that ability to connect with your inner knowing. And I'm going to circle back to that, because it's a really big part of everything we do with the Powerhouse Diaries, Alliance. Like, this kind of my jam. But there's more in this scenario. You have so much at stake.
Yeah, I do.
Your business is thriving. You have 2 little babies. You are still navigating the waves of a divorce, which, you know, even the best, you know, divorces still suck. Like, it's not a fun time.
Yeah.
There's a lot going on, and it's not just about your intuition. It's your children's eye. Like, how do you manage that, and how do you reconcile that within yourself?
Yeah, it's a good question that I'm still understanding, but I suppose that there's so many elements to this, right? Like, we met on a friendship basis at my absolute worst. I have never been more broken in my whole life. I think I weighed about 46 kgs.
Oh, God.
I wasn't eating. You know, I was living in this house that was my dream home, with what I thought was my dream family, in my dream scenario, with a dream business. And suddenly my husband at the time is moved out, and I ended it. So I'm not saying he left me. I'm saying that he moved out, because that's what I wanted. And I'm sitting at the dining table after putting my kids to bed with a glass of wine and no dinner again, literally wasting away, and going, what the fuck am I doing? Yeah. Like most people would be going, oh, no, this is too scary. Like, bring him back, because you can do that. You just go, oh no, too scary.
You're kidding.
And a lot of people do, right? Yeah. And a lot of people do feel that fear and go, fuck.
Yeah. But
for me, I suppose one of the biggest things about being a woman in business is having that ability and that moment where you can hold your own. And not everyone has that.
Well, I think also like the fear is there to tell you something, but it depends on, for me, I always ask myself, what's scarier?
Yeah.
Doing the thing and sticking with it, or having to live my life wondering what would have happened if I'd had the balls to stick it out.
I literally read a meme during that time that was summarizing that. It was, you can sit over here and be in pain because you're still in it, or you can feel the pain, but know that hopefully something good will come of it, right?
Yeah.
Because my God, it is painful. It is, and you lose friends. And your family's divided, and you lose their family that have been your family for 10 years, maybe more, maybe less.
And there's the mum guilt, there's running the business. You just taken this over when I'd built this up for 30 years.
Yeah.
Sorry, 1 second.
So we were talking about like losing family, like a divorce is so funny. Like you think that you're just leaving, you're just leaving that one partner. There's actually this giant tidal wave that goes with it. And like I said, friends, family.
And a version of yourself.
100%.
I think 100%. That's the biggest thing that we underestimate. And that's not just in divorce, it's any life change. Transformation and growth and change requires
that rock bottom in a way.
Yeah.
And
letting
boy,
go.
Oh boy, did I hit that. Because I'm, like we just spoke about, I'm quite a walls up. Even my friends don't really see me emotional. Apart from if it's them going through something. Highly empathetic. I can cry at the drop of a hat. For my own stuff, I stand there like a stone wall going, I'm fine.
Fine. I don't know what you're talking about.
Okay. But that was rock bottom. And I literally, I think there was 1 week where the grief was so severe that like even going into work, which, you know, you have to show up, you've got staff, you can't go in and bawl your eyes out. Well, one day I did.
And that was probably one of the best things that could have happened.
It probably was because, you know, like even my staff kind of were like, just go home. Like we've got this. And I needed to. I needed to go home and have a week off where I composed myself in a way, or I dealt with my feelings to the point where I could go and function at work and then come home and deal with them again.
It's also really beautiful that this has given them an opportunity to step up. An opportunity for you to see, oh wait, I can let go sometimes. And I still love that you're like, okay, rock bottom, grief. I'm going to take it a week. Like I'm just going to box it in a week. I've got this, you know. Let me grieve for a week. Monday, I'm back on.
We're back on it, babe. That's literally it, right? You just show back up, and that's the thing is you feel your feels, you find your coping mechanisms, because obviously these things are big, and I do encourage people to go through the motions rather than blocking it out. But I needed that week to go and cry like a squeaky little mouse at home, and that's what I did. I cried my eyes out over everything, and I came back on Monday and I was like, right, I'm ready. Like, I'm going to own this. And then this guy called Jamie just creeped on in. And when you're at your absolute worst and you think, well, I mean, it's great to have someone to talk to. I mean, he's been through far more shit than I have. So someone that was a really great sounding board, and that was an amazing thing to have. Someone that wasn't part of the picture before, wasn't involved in your groups of friends or your marriage, or, you know, it was just this completely different person that I'm going to sound crazy, but that the universe sent to me when I was absolutely at my pit.
Yes.
But holy shit, he could have shown up with less baggage.
Exactly. He could have shown up with like bare ankles.
Come on.
Oh my God.
I just honestly, like, it's like you couldn't even write a book about it. It's what's
people
been
wouldn't believe
even like
it.
the
They're
last
like,
9
this is
months.
fiction.
Literally, like, because then, you know, I have people being like, you're dating a criminal. And I am. I'm dating a criminal. That's those are the facts, right? And obviously what he went to jail for is so so highly emotional and also so close to home for almost every woman and men. There's a lot of men that have experienced it too.
And difficult as a
conversation.
Oh, very difficult because, well, it's just even as a woman to then follow your own gut, decide that you believe the story, then
that there's more to it.
That there's more to it, and see beyond the 3D. This is the reality. That can also be perceived as like almost a betrayal.
You've lost your mind.
Yeah, like a betrayal. Like what kind? Like I've had absolutely not similar, but conversations like that when there is some kind of not ambiguity, but just kind of more wider perspective of there's more to a story. Doesn't make everything okay. But the doors that close instantly for even considering,
mind-blowing.
For even considering and not immediately going bad.
Mind-blowing. And I suppose really scary because a lot of us have sons as well. I mean, I have a son. And I'm saying that with this story, my gut instinct was immediately, like I said to you, that there's more to it. And from there, I actually did my own research and made up my own mind. But for me, like that's opened up a whole nother can of worms where I'm going, well, I'm raising a boy. How the hell do you raise your son?
Have I been there?
Yeah, to know what scenarios they might land in.
And these are literally the conversations I'm navigating with my 16-year-old son at the moment, and needed. Needed. There's been situations where it's it's needed.
Whoa. Yeah.
And how do you raise boys, self-aware boys, boys that become safe men for women, but and also men. For themselves. And how do you raise girls to be vigilant and careful, and aware, but not scared of the world? It
is. It definitely opens up a whole nother realm that I sit back again because I'm a little bit airy-fairy and I go, well, there's a reason that this is part of my story. And I do truly think even for Jamie, there's a reason that he and I are aligned. But going back to what you said before about dating a criminal and people immediately go, well, I'm going to slam that door on you because like, how dare you? It's almost like you're supporting the crime, so to speak, which absolutely not.
No.
Ever. But that's what's happened, and that's what happens. And
it's black and white.
It is black and white for most people. But you just and in business, you can take this whole concept to your business too. You've got to go with your gut feeling and what feels true and authentic to you. And you've just got to run with it.
So that is my question around connecting to your intuition. That is, I believe, all of our superpower. In the end, we all look outside looking for the next template, the guru, the answer. We have the answer. What is your gut saying? But how, as an incredibly busy business owner, mom, your life is a lot.
Wild.
Your plate is deliciously full. How do you stay connected and find this space and time and quiet? Like this you need, in order to hear your intuition, you need to stop.
Yeah, you do.
And you need to listen. You need to trust whether it makes, especially when it makes absolutely no sense.
No sense, yeah.
But that's a difficult thing to do in this phase of your life and of your business. So how do you prioritize that? And what is there... a lesson that people listening could be like, I don't have time to sit and meditate for hours at a time. But how do I connect to that?
That's the thing, and my brain's far too busy for something like that. Although I'd love to sit and meditate, my brain's going, you got to do this, you got to do that, and I'm going, this is not relaxing. So I think finding your outlet, and everyone has a different form of outlet. A lot of people like walking, people like gymming, whatever. Might be meditating, might be getting up doing the 5 a.m. club thing. For me, it's the gym.
Yeah.
So while I'm being really, really active and exerting myself, I'm processing
you get out of your own way.
Much. Yeah. So I put my headphones on and I've got like Chris Brown or like R&B banging that people would listen and go, wow, I never had you of that kind of girl. Well, here I am. And those are my times that I process these things. And that's why I go to the gym every day, because the load is so big and so loud and so heavy that if you don't offload it, it will chew you up, it'll eat you up. So you've just got to do it.
Yeah, you have to.
And it's got to be part of your business model. Like I don't get to work until 11 a.m. because part of my business model is that I'm going to be a mother in the morning and I'm going to drop my children at school because I'm never going to get those moments back, right? And after that, I'm going to go to the gym.
I'm going to take care of me because I'm actually the engine that's holds fueling this whole show thing together. Yeah. And if I fall apart, that's not selfless.
Yeah.
That's just actually very selfish because then everything falls apart.
And that's the thing. And you feel guilty. You think, I went through a lot of time, probably 2022, I think, was a time for me where I didn't go to the gym and I was at work first thing. And, my mum was dropping my kids at daycare and I wasn't really parenting. I was just running as this business owner. And it has been more in the last year that I'm like, you know what? I'm going to make time to be a mother, get my kids to school where they need to be. Then I'm going to prioritize my well-being, which is the gym. And then I'm going to go to work.
And then you show up so much more
fully,
better. More present. Yeah. You knock out so much more work in less time.
Yeah, and you trust your staff. I've let go of so much and started to go, well, actually, I can't do it all. I'm not here to do it all. Yeah. My priorities are my children, my well-being, and then running my business efficiently. It's not, I'm not here to sink myself.
And that is a big jump from I'm doing it all myself, 100%. I'm holding it all together.
Completely different.
That's why I think sometimes our life needs to fall apart. Yeah. Because we were never going to let it go. Yeah. We were never going to unclench. Yeah. And trust.
And honestly, a massive part of that, like I said, was the partner thing too. I met someone that brought that out in me. Yeah. That let me dive into that like more feminine energy where I don't have to do everything. I don't have to run around like this together. Powerhouse and hold everyone together and, delegate. And be a mother because you're never going to get that back. Your whole life could change tomorrow, And I want to know that when my kids have gone to school or it's time for pickup, that it's my face that they mostly see standing outside that door. So that's a big pivot in the last year for me, which I'm loving.
It's so important. And I just want to take a moment to reflect back at you and just celebrate how with all you've been through, not only have you kind of survived, you've actually taken it and mined for gold and taken so many deep lessons out of it and had it actually be a portal for transformation for yourself. Yeah.
Well, it's like what you said before, right? You can either choose to almost be a victim to what you're handed or you can choose to make hay out of it, really. It's like, well, take the lessons, hear the noise, take the lessons and keep running. And that's kind of been what I've done, and I've lost a lot of people along the way.
So what's next? Where are you running to?
At the moment, I think it's more of just kind of a process of like healing and then running with the business, but we're in a recession, right? So right now it's batten down the hatches, stay focused, stay in your lane, just do what you do best, and all the growth plans that you have will come. I think that in terms of being a business owner, these are the times where we learn to be a good entrepreneur. And I haven't rode a recession before. So this is
you say that,
new.
but you also turned the business into an online business during COVID when the whole world seemed to be on fire.
Yeah.
So maybe,
Yeah,
take a little credit where credit is due.
We're surviving.
Yeah.
We're surviving. We've got plans. But yeah, I just think that now is a time to batten down the hatches, stick to your guns, and just ride the wave, really, and let yourself come out the other side with the lessons.
Yeah, and I love that because especially if you're a high achiever and in the world we grow up in, there's unspoken expectation for growth upon growth upon growth. And nothing is linear like that.
No,
everything in life
growth
is
looks
cyclical.
like this.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Which means that we also need to be okay with not
the
just
more stagnant times.
And see the gold in that season and what can that bring you. And that growth doesn't look like money or new clients or whatever.
It's when you build the bridge out of your own spine, my friend.
And you work on your own masterpiece. Oh, this was divine. We always do at the end of the interview a little bit of a flipping of the script.
Oh, here we go.
Oh, yeah. Love this. Do you want to get your interview on? Do you have a question?
Do I have a question?
Do you have a question
do I get to
flip
ask?
the script? Don't have to, but we always do.
I want to know what the biggest lesson you have learnt is. It's a hard one, I know. On the spot.
Just in general.
Just in general, like if you were to say to someone, this is the biggest thing that I would tell you. Like for me, it's always been trust your gut, be authentic, and trust your gut. What would yours be?
I think the biggest lesson that I'm still learning and
practicing.
Practicing and building that muscle is that we truly are the writer, the director, and the main character in our own movie.
Yeah.
I am a firm believer that our thoughts, our beliefs create our reality. And even when they don't create your reality, how you relate to it changes the content of a situation completely.
Yeah.
So my greatest lesson was to move out of life is happening to me. And then I moved into life is happening by me. I'm making shit happen, holding on so tight. And moving more into life is happening through me. Yeah. I'm co-creating with whatever I'm co-creating with. And instead of trying to white knuckle everything, just leave space for miracles, surrender, trust, and be so intentional with your words, with your thoughts, with the people around you. It's every thought, every emotion creates.
It's a manifestation, right? Yeah.
Everything you see was once just a thought or an emotion. And when you become so aware of that, life becomes an amazing playground.
Yeah.
And you realize how much muck there is to clean up.
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally. I mean, we didn't even get into my waters breaking at work.
Oh, God.
We didn't even go there.
Before we end this, go.
So that was, I think I was saying the end of 2020 was when we started trying for a baby. And that was a whole roller coaster, as it is for a lot of people. But I suppose the real roller coaster comes when I got pregnant with my son and the business was really booming. Yeah. It was our peak that time. And you're navigating morning sickness. I'm sitting at my desk going, I'm going to throw up. I'm in appointments with clients and I'm like running out the back to organize diamonds and stuff and practically dry retching in the bin next to my desk, and then going back out I'm okay.
And the contrast of the diamonds and so pretty and sparkly.
So outrageous. Everyone in the office looking at you going, are you okay? You're like, I'm fine. You go back out there and you do your thing. And I think for me, and it was my old behavior was that whole pushing right to my limits, standard Sera behavior. And I think it was when I was 37 weeks and 6 days pregnant with Rome very, very pregnant, and I just felt so pregnant, and I was like, I know this baby's coming out soon because I could just tell.
You can tell.
I went into work, as you do, because I just had to do things.
Exactly.
That
I know
staff
this
could have
baby's
done,
coming, but I'm busy.
Just got to go all the way to Ponsonby, bearing in mind I live like 45 minutes drive. I went in and I'm doing these things that in hindsight my staff could have absolutely taken care of, but, you know, control freak. And I stood up to leave and my waters broke everywhere, all over my assistant's feet.
Oh my God.
And we're just standing there looking at each other, and it's like, did I just pee? What's going on here?
I'm cool with a lot of things, Sera, but did you just pee on me?
I mean, what is going on? And it was just from there, it was just, I actually never recovered the CCTV footage. I really wish I'd downloaded it because for a movie, it was just ridiculous. Like, waters break everywhere. I'm standing there like kind of panicking, kind of laughing. Also, like, did I wee? Was that my water?
Maybe
What's
I did.
going on here? I'm pretty sure on camera I'm like pulling my my pants down to be like, where did that come from? What's going on here? And these photos of me standing outside the shop on that very day because I was wearing like gym pants. You could see my waters all over me. And it had dripped all out the shop. So like when I'd left, the staff had sent me this video of like all this trail to my car, which was my waters. And it was just the ultimate woman in business moment, right? Where like heavily pregnant, waters break in your shop.
The show everywhere. Must go on, people.
I literally, we joked about me just like giving birth out the back. And to be totally honest, if my labor had started immediately, probably would have ended like that. Luckily, I went home and it didn't start till the next day. But, you know, there's those moments. And then day 4, I had him on Friday and I was back at work when we were open again on Tuesday in a nappy with my newborn baby. And I just look back and I think, wow, like what was I thinking? What was I doing?
Oh, I was having a conversation with someone the other day. I was in hospital with emergency surgery.
Oh, God.
And I was released, and 3 hours later I went to the office because I had to fire someone.
Oh my goodness me.
So sorry. Let me take a sip.
It's just wild, isn't it? The things that you put on yourself. Is it a woman thing? Because you just you just keep running? Because I mean, I'm in a nappy, like literally still bleeding. I don't even know if I had milk yet. Like I don't even know what was going on, but I was there with my baby.
It's crazy. And when you look back, you're like, what was I thinking? I was still bleeding, sitting in the office.
Wow.
Having to fire this guy whose grandmother just died.
Oh, wow.
And it's like, if I don't do it today, then the contract will be renewed and it has to be today.
Yeah.
And I had this like out of body moment of like, what the fuck is wrong with you?
Yeah.
And that was the first step of
self-care, thinking like you've got to start.
And also like awakening and being like, I tied my whole identity in business. Being the boss and business. And I'm like, where's the human? Yeah. Like, what's wrong with you?
Yeah.
I don't like the person I've become.
Yeah, that's kind of how I was feeling. And it's not until you look back and I reflect and I think, man, like that morning, 4-day-old baby, I got up, I took my daughter to daycare, I got everyone ready and out the door. I showed up, full makeup, hair, jeans, nappy, breast pads, the whole lot, the whole kitchen sink. I think I had the pram, the baby, the car seat, nappies, like, you know, it was just crazy. But you look back and you just think, man, the things you do to survive as a business owner just blows people's mind, right?
It's crazy.
Just, yeah.
Would you do it again?
Not like that.
No, exactly.
So I would love another baby, but I'm going to do it so differently. And I don't regret doing it. That's the thing. Like I don't regret it, but it's just those lessons and moments where you think, wow, self-care and honoring yourself, even when you do have responsibilities of a business, so important.
That's just not who you are anymore. No. And it's also not what you want to model. You're talking about your team. Thing.
I wouldn't want my staff to, no. My God, if one of their waters broke at work, I'd be like, no. What are you doing
My shoes.
Yeah. My Louis Vuittons, what's going on?
God. No. Oh, Sera, we can talk forever, but I hate it always that this has to end.
We can talk over wine.
We can talk over wine, guys.
Yeah.
You can join. Come before we close off, we'll put all of this in the show notes as well. But where can people find you if they want to learn more about you, the Diamond Shop? Where do they find you online?
So the Diamond Shop, obviously, has its own website.
Yes.
thediamondshop.co.nz.
.co.nz, guys.
Yep, .co.nz. Instagram at the Diamond Shop.
Amazing.
And my personal Instagram is at Sera Lynn, but spelled Sera.
Fantastic. We'll put it all in the show notes for you as well. Thank you so much, my love. This was amazing. And
so fun. I can't wait for the wine.
Seriously.